So you want to start a podcast. What's up, YouTube? It's your girl TaKenyah. I don't I don't know how to do this for real. Anyway, hi YouTube. It's TaKenyah. I'm back again. Back again. Back to back. But I'm back with another video. Um as you can see, this is a new place. I don't know if you can tell if it looks different. This is my last time moving for a while. And a while meaning at least year or two tops. This is the final place. I've graduated. I've moved out. My best friend is moving on to get his master's degree. So it's no longer a reason for us to stay in the apartment because he has to go to a different school. And I'm officially starting my adulting journey. So I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment where I will be working full-time at my place. And that is what's going on. So this is why I'm saying that this is a very permanent place for a minute. I have put out to the universe that I want to move to Atlanta. So in the coming, that is what I like. That's the trajectory of where I want to go and what I want to do. So in the meantime, in between time, I set up a little space. I'm gonna decorate soon. This is my filming area. Now, let's talk about why I'm here. So at first I was gonna do a fat girl video about the Dunlap, but I wanna wait until I get this room set up. However, what I do wanna do is address the fact that I often get asked, and it's crazy how this week worked out because I was annoyed because people have been asking me recently about podcasting, how to do a podcast, how to do YouTube, but mostly podcasts. People have been asking me, hey, when can I come on your podcast? I haven't had a podcast in 2 years, but when I did have one, oh, I'm so ashy. Hold on, that's not cute. That's not cute. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Child, y'all was gonna have me on this camera holding myself like that. No ma'am, no ma'am. Now I'm back to the video. But yeah, it's just been a really annoying week because I was just being asked that. And the thing about it is, I started a podcast on my own with no help. I knew the basics of podcasting. I knew that in order to do the podcast, you need a mic and you need something to edit on. And fortunately, to my credit, I am a major in, my minor was in electronic media and arts. So I knew how to edit on an audio system, but in terms of creating a podcast, I had no idea what I was doing. So I guess you can say, if I'm being transparent, there was some kind of resentment, some unpacked trauma and issues that I haven't dealt with. But I do get annoyed when people ask me how to do certain things that I feel like in basic terms, in layman's terms, you can Google. If it was something that I feel like you have, like there's some things you don't know unless you do trial and error. Like if you lose your audio, there are ways to get it back. If I feel like you're asking me things like basic things like, hey, how do you start a podcast? I'm gonna be looking at you like, Google. Like I'm not gonna say, and that's another thing. I'm not gonna say like just Google it because I'm not that kind of person. But I'm gonna answer your question as basic as possible and expect you to figure out the rest. Like if you want to get your RSS feed in SoundCloud but you're having a hard time, I can help you with that. And if you have a podcast, you know what an RSS link feed is, you know what it does. These are the things that I feel like, if somebody was to ask me, I got you. But in terms of the basic steps and the basic necessities of starting a podcast, those kind of questions do annoy me because yes, I did not ask for help. And since I know that it's easily accessible and I know how easy the information is to get, it's frustrating when people come to me for it. I just don't you were asking me like I'm a pro, like I'm Jackie Aina or something. I don't know. Like I'm learning just like you are. You get what I'm saying? So that is my problem. And then yesterday on Twitter, there was drama with people from the podcast community, and I'm not gonna say any names. Like I said, if you wanna see anything in terms of it, like you can always follow me on Twitter at _TaKenyah. I put that in my, but it was drama on Twitter, and I'm just like, podcasting is really just been the theme of my week So I came here today. So you want to start a podcast? Start with number one, and I'm gonna start out where I started. I use SoundCloud. There are a lot of people who feel like SoundCloud was not as lucrative, and they went other routes. I don't know anything outside of that. I use SoundCloud. I started off not paying SoundCloud, but if you choose SoundCloud, you do have to pay. I do believe it was $15 a month at the time when I had SoundCloud. The other one, RSS feed. Doing an RSS feed was extremely difficult, and I don't remember the steps in terms of doing it, but all I know is iTunes does not do a good job on their website on telling you how to do it. So I would suggest looking at a YouTube video and doing it at the same time, because that's what worked for me. When I was reading it on the iTunes website, it was whatever. Graphics. Now, this is if you want a successful podcast, if you want I literally I didn't have any followers, I didn't have any content, I didn't have anything. I literally came from the ground up. Like, I started off getting like 10 listeners a week to 15 to 20 to 30 all the way up. I think my highest number was like 900. And I think that happened like twice. And that was because I had like a guest on my show. But yeah, if you want to have a podcast taken seriously, I would suggest really high quality photos. I didn't at the time have the coin to do so, and I didn't really want to think of the resources to have a friend do it for me. I wasn't really feeling how I looked at the moment, so I chose to go with I'll put it in the video, a graphic, and I just used TaKenyah Talks, and that was my thing, TaKenyah Talks, and that's all I'm doing is talking. And at first when I started, I did my first video, I used that graphic in every SoundCloud link thing. And if you put the picture in your SoundCloud, that picture then translates to all the platform that your RSS feed takes you. So if you're on iTunes, if you're on Spotify, if you're on if you're on, it's a lot of podcast communities. It'll take it there. The picture will be consistent throughout. I then started to change from using just my graphic to start using like funny pictures that went along with my titles. Another thing, I feel like titles really did well for me. My titles are very random. They just pop up in my head. I say random things every day, all the time. So my SoundCloud was nothing different than just my personality. My titles were really funny, and I'll put that in here if you want to see them. The reason why my show's not up right now is because I'm not paying $15 a month when I don't have a show. But if you would like to listen to some TaKenyah Talks shows, I might, for the month of February, like pay for a month for you to go back and listen to my old shows. But that's up to you. I will also suggest having, if you don't think, so here's my thing. I was a single podcast host. My first show was with me by myself. Then I brought my uncle, then I brought my best friend Corey, then I brought my other best friend, close friend James, and they would be rotating guests on the show. But there was a summer where I was by myself, and I am the type of person, if this person don't show up, the show must go on. I'm going to make sure that my show is running with me by myself, period. Whether you think that I'm a great content creator by myself, whether you think that I am whatever, however you feel about me, if it's one thing for certain, two things for sure, as long as my name is on this, I'm gonna keep the ball rolling because this is what I wanted to do. But I would suggest a call. If you want to be a single podcast host, I think there are some great benefits to that. You can do what you want. I don't have to consult with anybody. You know, I did what I wanted to do. It was a lot of work in terms of putting out. Editing was a lot. Advertising was a lot. But at the same time, if you're willing to put in the work, it's some benefits. Oh, also quality in, I think that, listen, if you want to give the people quality things, I would say get a mic. A mic is not expensive. You can go to the store and get you a $50 mic. My mic happens to be $150. It's actually, hold on. This is my mic. Oh, it was an Audio Technica. You know how they do like in Audio Technica 2020, AT2020 with the USB. And just like in this video, I connected it to my, I had a Toshiba at the time. I have a Mac now. But yeah, this was my mic. And I would say get a quality mic. And then even if you don't have the money or the coins for a quality mic, use your phone. I think that has quality. I wouldn't say record on a laptop, but if you're just recording just to kind of just talk, and if you're not looking to grow, and you're not like, if you're not looking to grow a community of people into a bigger community and create, you know, quality content, hey, use your laptop. But if you want to grow with your content and you have a phone, I think the phone is way better than a laptop. That's just my humble opinion. Here's what's next, and this is what brought me here, because like I said, I mentioned I got into some mess yesterday. I would suggest, when forming a community of people, make sure that these people represent you as well. So if I have to say, if anything, one of my, I don't have regrets, but one of the things that I wish I would have been more cognizant of as a small YouTuber was the people I align myself with. Now, this is not to say that it was a lot of people, but it was a lot of content creators who, if I can be transparent with you all, I was really all about making my numbers grow. So I would look at people's numbers and say, oh, those numbers aren't growing, I'm not gonna align myself with you. But at the same time, I would be standoffish. Fortunately, I ended up meeting someone who did kind of cultivate a podcast family, and we did grow, and our content did grow. And a lot of the people who watch my YouTube videos came from podcasting. And so the community was very lucrative, but we did end up dissipating. We ended up going our separate ways, because you don't want to just join a network because of numbers. You don't want to just join a network because this person does a podcast and they got numbers a bit, and they may be a little controversial, but hey, they pull in the viewers. I do things from the heart. I do things with intention, everything that I do. And so when I started to grow as a creative, I started to outgrow the community that had brought me to who I was. Now, luckily for me, the community separated in its own, because I think we all grew and grew out. But there are still some people who I fuck with heavy. Like, there are people who I call family, bros, people I would support to the end of time. But if I were you and you wanted to start a podcast community, please be sure that they are a representation of your brand, if this is something you want to take seriously. And I can't tell you how to find a pod community because I don't know how I found out. We literally just stumbled upon each other. I do want to shout out the Baby Boy podcast. That was the first podcast that I actually did want to work with, because first of all, I love their content. That was a genuine connection. But me being TaKenyah, I didn't want to seem like I was trying to come up. I don't want to come up off anybody. I don't want to, make them feel like, so I didn't reach out to them. Luckily, the person who actually facilitated the pod family, we all just ended up coming together, and I was able to, interact with the Baby Boy podcast. But I just feel like that was the one podcast I actually did want to work with personally for me. Another thing, you may want to, this is what I did. I always kept something changing. I always kept something growing. So for the first year, I had a intro. I forgot what it was. I had an intro song, and it was that for a whole year. The next year, I changed the intro song, and I made it different. I also had another podcast with my uncle called Generation Exchange. I did a lot of guest pop-ups on other people's podcasts. You definitely want to cross your platforms, because that is how you grow. People get to know you. You need to get to know them. Cross your platforms. You definitely want to have guests on your shows, especially with other podcasters. Issa Rae said something. You want to network across versus networking up. I genuinely believe that. I don't think that you have to go for the top. You have to go for the best. I was never into that, because that's not where I was in terms of my, we was here. And it's not low. I'm just saying this is where I was networking. I was networking across. I was networking with other small podcasters, because we were a family and we moved as a unit, and our listeners and family grew. I will also suggest, really, really suggest, consistency. And I'm being hypocritical because I was not the most consistent. Luckily, people genuinely love me and fuck with me. Why, I have no idea. I'm a mess. Okay. But people like me, so when I did put out, content after my, I think I probably, if I could be guessed, I was trying to consistent for like 5 months, if that. And then I just fell off, and it was kind of just like from there. But I think my highest numbers were done when I was consistent. I've grown in terms of content, and there are things that I just will not accept on my timeline and things of that nature. And I follow a lot of creatives, and if I don't agree with your content, if I find it visceral, I'm gonna say something about it. And I've just been dealing with that lately, and so that's why I was like, man, like this, I'm gonna give some podcast advice since people have been asking and it's been annoying. And then something annoying happened yesterday. I was just like, you know what? Let me just put a video about a podcast. So you want to start a podcast? Those are my tips and tricks on how to start a podcast. Stop asking me.